Hello, my name is Andre, and this is episode 13 of Chronicles of Reality. And in this episode, I am going to cover the birth of a new aggressor. So, as I've said previously, the primary aggressor that I had was said to have died at some points. The aggressor that remains is Terra, who I mentioned before. I said how Kaido died, but Terra was very specific. So there was one day that a specific part of my scalp was stimulated in a certain way that froze my body. We're talking, for whatever reason, a simple sensation in one spot affected my entire body. Like it was very peculiar. Not quite an electric shock, but it was quite the sensation over my body to where I couldn't even move these. Couldn't even move. And fortunately for myself, I I was I was in bed at this time at the time that this happened. I guarantee you, if I had been driving or been maybe standing up, I probably would have fell out. I could have passed out. I could have maybe not passed out, but I wouldn't be able to do anything at all whatsoever. Not even move my arms. Not even move my fingers. Like I was just, I was in this bind that I couldn't get out of, and I strictly remember a dream that happened after that. I remember a dream where I was exploring this other world. It looked somewhat like our world, but everything was mapped out. Everything had this very lucid, vibrant, hyper realistic feel to it, like a lot of my dreams sort of have. But in this one, this was kind of different. And I recall exploring this area, walking through towns and everything, and then ending up walking through this city, and then I made it to the edge of the city, and at the edge of the city is this pier, and I remember walking to the edge of the pier and looking out into the water, and it was a great scene actually. It was at night. You can still tell that there's water there, and there's a city on the other side. Uh, I couldn't tell you the distance, but it wasn't too far. Just picture the size of maybe a moderate lake or maybe a large river, or it is a vast amount of water, but you can still see the other side of uh of that. Sort of, it reminds me of going to, I believe, Detroit, Michigan. I'm gonna say if I might have the wrong place, but I believe it was Detroit, Michigan, and there's an area where you can see there's this river, there's this body of water, and on the other side of that body of water is actually Canada. So it felt that way, where we're on one side of the water, and I can see across the other side of the water, and I can see Canada. Um, Uh, so yeah, that's what it felt like to me. In seeing this in my dream. And so, man, I don't know if I took a boat. I don't know if I just flew over there. Given I have had that ability several times within my dreams, but I do remember that I made it across that body of water. And when I did, I went to the city, and what I noticed that I sort of saw when I looked at this area from the other side of the body of water is that there is this wall on the other side. So there's a city on the other side on the other side of the body of water, and behind that is a wall. And this wall looks like it was maybe made of metal. It could be made of metal, but it reminded me of a circuit board for whatever reason because it had different shapes and etchings and whatnot that reminded me of it. So in the dream, I went through this sort of thing, and I knew that when I was affected in my scalp by this person, it was Tara who was doing it in the first place. And then right after, I just happened to fall asleep and have this specific dream. And I remember going to this dream. I remember making it to that wall and climbing that wall free-handed. So I don't have ropes. I don't have anything like that. I'm just climbing the wall with whatever hand and footholds that I can get to. And at the top or not at the top, but somewhat higher up, maybe towards the middle of what I'm talking about, of this wall, I unlock this panel. I see this panel, and I remember opening this panel, and there were several numbers that came to me. I don't remember exactly what the numbers were. I want to say that it was like 7316 or 7315 or something like that. But but I remember that these numbers were there, and they were supposed to be specific. Like I remember that I had to put in a code, and those numbers were the numbers that came to mind. So I put those numbers in, and when I put those numbers in, there was a representation of each number as I went. So that's that's what I experienced. And I remember doing that. I remember closing the panel, and at one point, I think I closed the panel. It could have been open, but at one point, I ended up I ended up ending the dream. I don't remember what happened right from that point, but I remember going up and climbing that wall and entering this code. But from the moment I entered this code, things were different. Things sort of felt different. And when I woke up, Tara was gone. Tara did not show up anymore from that point on. And I was told, like when I woke up, and I remember that this was in the dream too, that the world was now given to me, is what the exact wording, what the wording was, as that the world was now entrusted to me. Now I put together that had most likely been Tara who had been messing with me to this point. So for a little while there were not any aggressors, but there were other voices that tried to interact with me. Until the day that this one particular entity showed up. And this entity did not say who they were. Nobody said who they were. This was a new person. This is someone who showed up and took an interest in myself and my my apartment, and the way they spoke, They always asked me consistently when they showed up. They asked, "Who is the Dom of this well?" Over and over and over, and I tried like no other to figure out what they were talking about because they were not specific. So as far as I put together, they were talking about either my mind or my apartment. So either way, they're mine. So my response is that my response was that, you know, this place is mine. I never officially said that I am the dom of the well until some time later. So at least not officially with those words. So I would constantly say that, hey, this is my place. This is my apartment. This is my mind. So as an answer, so whatever dom you're looking for, that would most likely be myself or fall under that category. Whether it's the Dom or not, I don't call myself the Dom, but that is who I am. Given it's my apartment and it is my mind. So that is something that I fought with, and this particular entity asked so many questions and had so many comments in relation to myself or in relation to my apartments or other things. And I had to be careful how I answered this person. And I specifically remember that there was a moment where the subject of anime was attacked. This entity did not see the benefits or the purpose of anime existing, and saw it in quite the negative light. And so I found myself explaining anime to them, explaining like, hey, look, like everybody likes anime. Anime isn't just for younger viewers. Anime is made for everyone. Anime has a purpose, uh, which is what they questioned. Anime, especially from my point of view, anime is not just anime. It's something that has helped me get through so many situations within my life. It's helped me rationalize things. It's helped me analyze things. It's helped me understand multiple things within my life and relate to or relate to certain things in my life and sort of invoke a deeper connection and understanding of aspects in my life. And I sort of explained that to this entity that's been talking to me. And I remember that after a while, this entity kept asking a bunch of questions as I'm trying to cook a meal. So I'm trying to cook this meal as I'm trying to cook this meal as everything is going on, and this particular voice, which which was behind where my TV is or was at the time. So now at this point in time, I have a little bit more furniture. So I have these desks or these tables that my uncle gave to me, and a TV that one of my friends at the time purchased for me, given I didn't have that much money at the time, and he saw my apartment and it was bare, and he couldn't really accept that it was bare. He said, "I have to." he said, "I have to get you something. Let me get you a TV, so you at least have something else to entertain yourself throughout your time here. So he bought me this TV. So the TV I believe was on, but from the wall behind it, this person is talking. This entity is talking, and they ask multiple questions. And the crazy thing is that I practically watched this entity evolve from an entity that had a particular distinct personality of interest with someone ulterior moment with somewhat ulterior motives, but this time he this time this entity evolved as I asked questions. And some of the questions I couldn't answer because he's asking questions one after another, and I'm able to answer them. And after a while, it was like I sort of lost control of what was happening, and suddenly this entity became a completely different entity that was obsessed with Kaido and how he did things. So when this entity began to interact with my body over time, it would constantly ask me, is this how Kaido did it? And this how Kaido would Kaido do this? This must be how Kaido did it, or is this how things were happening to you before? So yeah, I yeah, it was interesting. So this this person who became obsessed with Kaido turned into this new aggressor that was not as rational as Kaido, which is saying a lot. Because technically Kaido was rational, but he would twist different things that were said. This entity is either not acknowledging things or acknowledging them in a different way that makes me feel like they don't completely have a grasp of the real world or around me. It's either that or they're acting like they don't know and asking me questions and making comments that make it seem like that's the case. But this person, this entity is one that would follow me for the longest time, and and yeah, that was that was a whole nother level of of an experience. Eventually, I had given I gave given it that I gave other entities nicknames before, partially because I in reality am very bad with names. I'm pretty bad with names. I need to give you a nickname or something to help me remember. Otherwise, I'm not really gonna remember your name, or it's gonna take me longer to remember such. So yeah, that's so. In this case, I've named other ones, but this one became so prominent that I kind of got tired of saying, "Hey, you need to stop this. You need to go away. You are wrong. This is what happens. This is the actual truth in comparison to what you think." Well, I eventually named this entity Corinth. Um, Corinth, spelled Corinth. Corinth. That was the name that I came up with at the time, and that name stuck. So from then on, Corinth was the aggressor, and Corinth was if I describe Kaido as unhinged and irrational, I guess you can say that Corinth was chaotic and obsessive, and maybe one other thing that isn't coming to mind just yet. But he was sort of not unhinged, but maybe detached to some degree from the world. He he had this particular manner of speaking, and he followed me. He followed me. He followed me a lot of times. So everywhere I went, Corinth was there, asking questions and interacting, and sometimes interacting with my body to some degree. it was it was very crazy because what's still happening is the sort of possession, not possession, but the manipulation of my body. So around this time that Corinth came around, I was fighting somewhat more cranial than than before. Yeah, that was a particular experience. Yeah, that was insane. So yeah, Corinth stayed for quite a while, and I guess I will end. I would end that there. And I guess a note to make for future reference is that Corinth was even harder to rationalize with and deal with than Kaido. It was like Kaido wasn't listening to what I was saying a whole lot. Even though even if he would just reflect things back at me, Corinth would not always acknowledge what I said. But if he did, he would always have some sort of question as to how that worked. For instance, I told you I have asthma. So Corinth used to ask about asthma, and sort of question what that would be and how it works. And I knew that this is something that was a threat on my life because the more he asked about asthma, uh, the more I became concerned about my ribs and my torso being compressed and affecting my breathing to some degree, which is actually happening right now. To be completely honest, so yeah, that's what's happening. But yeah, the Corinth was somebody who, instead of just fighting with, I was always trying to explain things to or rationalize things to. He'll be like, "What's this? Does it work like this?" And I'll say, "No, that isn't the case. That is not how that works, especially in comparison to my life." But yeah, so I think that's where I'm going to end things. I spoke about what I wanted to speak to. You now know of Corinth, and I'll most likely speak of him in at least two other episodes for you. But at least for now, that's it for this episode. I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for following me on my journey. If you have thus far, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions in relation to my experience, I will answer those the best I can. If I do not answer those, especially if it is an important question, I will at some point answer all of those in a separate video or videos. So until then, just ask what you will, comment how you will. Thank you again, and until next time, thank you.